Hey everyone, welcome back to Life Group. Do you like Skittles? Because I like Skittles. I like candy in general, but Skittles are delicious. And this is the purple bag of Skittles, and I think they're the best. My wife disagrees with me, but she's wrong. Don't tell her I said that. But here's the thing. These Skittles are usually the best, but they're a little stale, so kind of iffy on that one. I want to teach you guys today a very important biblical principle called gleaning. And to do that, we're going to have to read what that's all about in Leviticus chapter 23. Check this out. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap to your field right up to its edge, nor shall you gather the gleanings after the harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and for the sojourner. I am the Lord your God. Okay, imagine with me for a second that you are a farmer, and this field is your field, and you've put your blood, your sweat, and your tears. You've paid for the seeds. You've paid for the fertilizer. You've worked out in the sun to make sure there's no weeds in the field. And this field is what you're going to use. The money you make from this field will feed you and your family. It's going to help you pay for your internet and your subscriptions to Netflix and Disney Plus. And you're also going to use that money to buy a new Nintendo Switch game and upgrade your phone to the new iPhone 12. All of the things only come from this field. All right? Imagine with me for a second. Now, it would make sense for someone to just, come harvest time, to just take all of the crops, right? I mean, that would make the most sense. But God has instructed his people and said, hey, I want you to live differently. And here's a very practical way I want you to live differently. He says, when you harvest, I want you to harvest differently. Let's take a look at what this looks like. Okay. So here we go. Imagine that I have just harvested my field, and this is the crops I have left over. That I have harvested. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 10% of that, and I'm going to give it to the Lord. I would take it to the temple. The Levites would eat this, and I would give that the first fruits, the best part, not like the worst part of my crops, the best part I would give to the Lord. But then there's things like these little pieces, these little gleanings here. And this would be like, I'm chopping down my field. And then there just happens to be like, I missed a stalk of corn. I missed a little bushel of wheat. I actually bundled something up and I left it out here. That would be these things. But also there's the corners and the edges. Imagine I could just harvest everything, but God said, leave the edges and the corners for the poor, for the hungry, for the immigrant. And this is what it would look like. It would mean I'm going to intentionally leave some of my crops out so that someone else could have it. And it wasn't just me being generous, because that was definitely what it was. It's definitely this heart of generosity. But there was this sense that I didn't even own this part of my field. I didn't own these things. Our world would say, no, you own everything. It's yours. But God says, no, leave these in such a way that you understand that you don't even own this part of your field, but somebody else has claim over it. Somebody else, specifically the person who cannot feed themselves, owns this part of your field. Fascinating, huh? So what does this have to do with us? Because I don't know about you, but I don't own any fields. And in fact, I don't feed myself by harvesting crops. Maybe some of you are farmers and your families do that. It's cool, but that's not the world we live in, right? But here's the thing. This principle still stands because it was really a heart issue, not a crop issue. You see, there were some people who owned fields in biblical times who knew God's word, who knew what God commanded, and still didn't do it. They would harvest everything for themselves. And in the same way, I think we have a choice of what kind of way are we going to live. Are we going to steward what God has given us in a way that honors God? knowing that we don't actually own anything. You and I, we have things. We have money. Some of us might have like lots of money. Some of us might have not a lot of money. But all of it is a gift from God. And we're just renting these things. We're just kind of borrowing all of our things and even all of our money. And God has said, steward this well. Use this in such a way that it's not just to serve yourself. I pray that you can learn how to steward well what God has given you. And I pray that this idea of gleaning can be an attitude of our heart that we all live together. Enjoy your discussion in your groups. I'll see you all later.